Had talked about conversion cradles. We had talked about resequencing, and where we were at was going into the reprogramming part. Now, I'm actually going to take the component of addictions, and we'll work our way through the addictions part using what we've already talked about. Did any of you identify that you might have some addictions? Yes. For the one or two of you that identified that something might be a problem, it's not a problem. I'm quite enjoying them. Thank you very much. We're going to actually talk you on the how-tos, and then we're actually going to do it for you. Because the proof is in the pudding. You know, when you recognize that something is working for you, and you need to recognize how that process actually feels for you, then you are better equipped to help your clients and your friends and everybody else recognize what are some of the things that they may experience. I will tell you that thus far, and I have not used resequencing and reprogramming on absolutely everything in the whole world, so I certainly don't know all conditions. However, what I have witnessed thus far is that when you resequence something, the process of coming back into balance feels more gentle. So I have not had any type of, like sometimes when you move out really huge stuff, sometimes the person gets sick while all that crap is clearing out. I've not experienced that yet. So, I think it's the combination of you're using the conversion cradle, which takes a lot of that ancestral stuff that might have wreaked havoc clearing through your body, and it processes that over on this side so that you don't physically have to process it. Then when you do the resequencing, there's not all that debris, because oftentimes the body has a real challenge processing that stuff. So, when you're doing something deep, especially addictions, for Pete's sakes, because that fiber, that frequency of addictions is literally in every single cell of your body. It is as intricate a part of each one of us, because that is a fiber that has gone through all of humanity since the beginning. How significant is that to be able to bring balance to it? So I will say, as we walk you through this process, and then you put this process through for you, please, if however you're having the experience of it, do share, because the more that we know, the more that we can help, bring more balance. If any kind of, if something gets set off or whatever. I don't anticipate it at all. Because that's just not, in watching how it goes through, that's just not what I'm seeing, but who knows. All right, so so I'm going to talk about the reprogramming component of it, and then we'll actually walk you through using our own addictions as the clearing, and we'll walk through the process. Nothing like starting on something small, little pimple, something. Sunday afternoon. Okay, just want to make sure that I grab.
Dolphins are getting whooped by New England.
If anybody wanted to know what is happening in the NFL today, Marcia can give you the update on what's happening with the Miami Dolphins. They're getting smashed currently.
I thought you meant it for real. Our Dolphins are
just listening for a moment. All right, when you're going to do reprogramming, reprogramming can help the body to reset itself. So as the resequencing occurs, it makes the whole process more gently. So there's a couple of different ways that you can work with the reprogramming. So which way you will reprogram is simply going to be based on you asking in any situation which is necessary. Number one is you can resequence you can resequence the DNA. I beg your pardon. You can reprogram the DNA. We're just having a bit of a discussion in here. You can reprogram the DNA, or you can reprogram the biochemical, such as with addictions, the receptors and the dopamine, proper production and reception of the neurotransmitters for dopamine is a problem. The receptor sites and the transmitters of the dopamine for addictions, you get where these are underdeveloped. Dopamine is the chemical that brings motivation, that puts things back into balance. When you have an imbalanced production of dopamine, or the circuits don't get developed, because an awful lot of addictions that from a physiological standpoint, a lot of the addictions actually start biochemically. They start when you're actually fairly young, and you have several of these circuits in the brain that just do not develop. So they do not develop the ability to receive and take in the dopamine to the extent that the body is creating the dopamine. So even if the body is creating an ample amount, if the circuits are not linking, if that connection is not being made, then you start to have an issue. But more times than not, you're going to find that these receptors are actually underdeveloped, which then, given a child, and again, most of the time when the underdevelopment occurs is in a child under the age of 10 primarily, and more likely it's probably in between 6 and 8, 6 and 9, where these it can be earlier, it can be a little bit later, but that's an average. And again, is there any human being on the planet that does not have some level of addiction? Do you think that's possible? I would. What do you think? I would dare to say that there's not a human being, because the addiction is a fiber that goes back to the beginning of the human race. And so it's now just a matter of to what degree do we have the imbalance in any given person. Some people it's minor, some people it's major, and it could be anywhere in between. You know, do you think a lot of this stuff, because from a biochemical standpoint, when you're doing the reprogramming, so reprogramming is phenomenal for all kinds of things, but especially when you have like autoimmune things, when it's communication, when it's nerve, when it's brain, when it's biochemical, that reprogramming, you are going to reprogram the brain to not only respond the way that it should have in the first place and bring the development back properly, but there's an awful lot of chemicals that are just not being either produced adequately, or the receptor sites and the transmitters are just not making proper connection. So in regards, if just looking at addictions in general, when we're talking about reprogramming, when we go in to do the reprogramming, we're going to go in to make correction to all of the circuits and the transmitters and receptor sites of dopamine. What other kind of things does dopamine a lack of dopamine create? Parkinson's. What else does dopamine, lack of dopamine? Depression. Many different mental illnesses. Yes?
I guess that's why with Parkinson's people are depressed as well. It's an element of it.
Depression is an element of Parkinson's.
Does it do Alzheimer's?
So dopamine also has the so what they're saying is dopamine is a factor in not Alzheimer's but dementia. I don't know that to be true. That's just what they're saying. Anything else that you know that dopamine affects? Yes?
I would think that trauma would affect dopamine.
Absolutely. The brain ends up getting short-circuited when trauma occurs.
I think if you have people that have no affect, like no very low emotional responses, it could be true due to low dopamine.
That would be true. And again, you have a lot of people, this is amplified more now than ever, only because the increase in the pressure and the frequency on the body is just really amplifying and creating all kinds of issues. I will say to you that when you go to reprogram, you don't have to know everything about the physiology of the body to reprogram. You simply are going to ask, in a case of addictions, you're simply going to ask that any and all imbalance, or you can just use the word imbalance, follow whatever your guidance words at that point in time. What the key here is, when you're asking and you're putting reprogramming into place, is that you are putting back balance and wholeness. It's important that the word wholeness is there, especially in regards to addictions. Because wholeness, when you create wholeness from addiction for you, guess how far that wholeness goes down your line?
All the way back and all the way
All the way back and all the way forward. So whenever you're working with reprogramming, period, if there is an autoimmune issue, if there is a cancer, no matter what it is that you are working with, you are asking when you're reprogramming, if you are asking for reprogramming, you can simply just ask that any and all imbalance that was created, that it is brought into wholeness. You are going to go and do this reprogramming in space, no time. Yes, Emil.
And you said unbalanced, you haven't specified that it's the biochemical communication or the nervous system or anything else.
So, when you're asking for out of balance, thus far, I have primarily used this by naming what it is that we were reprogramming. However, guidance in this moment is just saying it doesn't have to be that complicated. That's why I started to say half of a sentence and then stopped. How I have technically used it thus far was to name what it was that we were correcting. Their indication, however, is that it doesn't have to be that complicated.
So the DNA would come in the imbalances too.
Correct. So when you're going to make a correction of DNA, you are asking that any and all imbalance that has occurred I cannot tell you that I have not done that actual one in this moment. It can be done. I have just not been called to do it in this moment. But the implications of that are gargantuan. All right, that may not be the best word, but that's an awesome word. They're huge. It's very large. Go ahead.
Is this where supposedly there's a genetic link to, at least they talk about it now, alcohol and drugs? But it sounds like it's really in everybody's DNA regardless.
It is, that's correct. It is in everybody's DNA because the fiber of addictions goes all the way back to the beginning of mankind. You just determine which addiction it's going to fall into and let everything else will collapse into place. I'm sorry?
We want a contrast, so that sounded like something you might want to program in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you want contrast? Well, leave it to addictions. It'll bring it to you. In spades. Yes.
All the way back to the beginning of time, is that where my addiction to apples came from? Sorry.
See what I deal with every day? Yeah, martyr. Yeah.
Victim.
It is never a boring moment in our house. That is for certain. Between the two of us, one of us is wackadoodle or both. Yeah. Oh, did anybody else have a question, statement? No?
So I guess in theory, if the fiber of addictions doesn't run in the DNA, like if we do wipe out all addictions, maybe not right now, by just changing the DNA.
Yes. This is, again, I just have to remind you, we are at a point in time in history where we no longer have people who have paved the road ahead of us. We are the pioneers. And so we are the ones now clearing the path for everybody that will follow. And so when you are in that pioneer stage, you're given different tools, but, there are many things that we have to just stick very closely to whatever it is that we're guided to do and refine like the divine. So I haven't necessarily been called yet to do a reprogramming on the entire DNA. I can tell you for a fact that it's possible. And can we do it for the whole of mankind? Not in this moment. I will also tell you there's something called an angelic code. Have you ever heard that term?
Yes.
Angelic code.
Yes. I don't know where, but yes.
So the angelic code puts puts somebody into their full, empowered spirit. And the reason that they talk about angelic code is part of being a human being and you forgetting who you are. If you remembered every strength that you had and every gift that you had and everything that was actually divinely yours, what would be the point? And so there was a cover, so to speak. I guess you could technically link it to what might be called the veil. That dimmed, I'm going to use back the dimmer switch. I love that point. You could say that the angelic code was much like the dimmer switch, where it had to be dimmed way down for you to take on a human body and really move that human body forward. The angelic code, when you are reprogramming, this is not about reprogramming, it's just about it getting to a point where you can bring that angelic code back into its full form. The uses that I've been told, I probably have half of a huge journal of information about the angelic code and how it's going to work and when we put it into play and all of these kind of things. But for the angelic code in general, the time and space, think of the world as we've got so many different puzzle pieces all coming together. And it's almost like all of these individual pieces are coming closer and closer together, and within a very short amount of time, all of a sudden they start linking. All right, that one's in place, then that one's in place, then that one's in place, and then that one's in place, and so on. When we talk about awakening, the angelic code has an awful lot to do with the awakening and how clear, you know, as sick as you may have become over the many years, me talking about and pushing us to get to a sustainable frequency. There was so much more to that than just what you thought. The angelic code, you're probably going to find towards the end of this year that for some of you, may not be all of you, but for some of you, you're going to find that you working with bringing the angelic codes back on, you may find that that calling for you gets really, really strong towards the end of the year. When that time comes, you'll have a pretty doggone clear idea of what you're supposed to do with it, where it's working at, and how it's going to lay itself out. Not everybody is going to have that strong of a call. Again, we're not all moving in the same group. Each guidance is putting each of us into our own wheelhouse. For me personally, part of my calling is information and bringing information and distributing information. So while my head would love to be one of the ones that wants to play with the angelic code, oh, I so do. So do. Not my job. They have to keep saying, not your job, Kim. Aw, I want that job. Not your job. Aw, fine. But tell other people that it's going to be their job. How will you know? When I say angelic code, is there anybody here that it feels really buzzy and really strong for you? Or does it feel like this is information and this is good, I'll take it into my backpack and put it away, and if I need it, I'll pull it out. All right, so enough said. So let's actually take the addictions and walk it through the process so that you can actually see it in mode, in the point of it. We actually were supposed to get into some of this yesterday, but the conversation just continued to go into different directions, and I always have to trust that whatever is talked about is what needs to be talked about, you know? All right, so here's what I suggest. All of the addictions and stuff that you listed, or just any, if you got any down at all, or any of those fun questions that got it together? Yeah, even if you didn't write any down or a couple of down, just put one line that says all addictions for all times. That's why yesterday we started going, oh, you got to do more through, and then afterwards they're like, no, Kim, actually you don't. You just get all of this. Perfect. I love doing that. I'm happy not to have to sit and get pissy about it, hoping I don't miss something.
Yeah.
Now, here's the last question I need to ask you, and as silly as it sounds, are you actually willing to give up all?
Yes. Yes. All of it.
You can have coffee without it being an addiction. Emil's like, look. Save my life, not save my life. Look, whatever side has coffee, that's the side I'm going on.
So we can still have ice cream.
You can have ice cream, it just is not an addiction part of it. There are some of you that you might know that some of your addictions you actually like. Really? Who said really? Oh my gosh. How many people love to binge watch things? Addiction. TV, computer, how many people get hooked on YouTube or watching different things on the computer, things like that, and you sit down and you say you're only going to give it an hour, and the next thing you know, 4 hours has passed. Addiction.
Yep.
All right. So you are willing to get rid of your the addictions. All right. Did anybody else go out for a restroom break? Not that that's a problem, but I just don't want to start until everybody's back.
Could be their addiction.
Perfect. No, you're good. Pay no mind. The man behind the curtain. That would be Cindy. All right. So here's what we are going to do. We are going to get ourselves really well grounded. All right. So again, let us just take a nice inhalation breath on the next exhalation breath, just releasing any and all energy and cares from the day, any and all energy and cares from lunch. So again, I'd like you to just take that nice breath and let's bring your grounding. Just as important that you get a nice deep grounding. So as you take that exhalation breath, let it really help you to flow that energy of the heart line all the way down. Down into the ground, down into oneness below. I ask you also to just let that energy of the first chakra also open and breathe and drive that energy all the way down into oneness below. Breathe it all the way down. There you go. Deep and wide with the energy. Wide side to side, wide front to back. We thank you to all the guides and ancestors and all who join us. And then I want you to go ahead with that grounding nice and firm. Breathe that energy all the way back up. That energy all the way back up, and as it moves past each chakra, that chakra is open and expanded. So as you go past each chakra, just make sure front and back, chakra 2 through 6 are open. Very good, very good. Just want to breathe that energy all the way up and connect up with your divine source. If you feel the energy jamming up a little bit in your neck or in your head, I want you to just take an inhalation breath and just ask for that energy to clear through your T-bar, that transmedium channel that goes across the shoulders and up the neck, like an upside down T. I want you to just breathe energy through the T-bar. Take a nice golden ball and breathe that energy through the T-bar. Let's clear all that space across the shoulders. Clear it across the shoulders. Yes, Makos, welcome ancestors, and then up the neck. Let's clear that transmedium channel as well. Makos. And then as that T-bar is clear, again, continue that breath all the way up until you connect up with oneness above. One more breath. There you go. And now we just simply ask for space, no time, that gateway of space, no time. We ask that that gateway of space, no time open up for us. It's like a wide double door opens up and invites you in. I ask you now to step all the way into space, no time. Walk all the way in. There you go. Walk in a little bit further into space, no time. You totally know you're there because it starts to feel as though there's just expansiveness where you're at. And in this area of space, no time, you can even be aware, and as you breathe, you can feel in the space, no time that there doesn't feel like there's a solid floor, there doesn't feel like there's not structure as we would know another time. We ask first and foremost for a conversion cradle to present. We would like to put the addictions into the conversion cradle. So we ask that a cradle, conversion cradle, be called up in front of us. It's okay if you do not visually see it in your mind's eye. That's all right. Simply ask for the cradle, and so shall it be there. I ask you now, you are the one who stands for all of your ancestors. I ask you now to willingly put all of the addictions, by just connecting in to the depth of what you have written or that word. I ask that you put all of the addictions into this conversion cradle. All of them, all of the addictions, the fiber of addiction, all the way back to the beginning of time, through all of your ancestral line. All addictions known and unknown. All addictions through any lifetime, any dimension, any realm. All parallel universes, all access points, all fibers of addiction. We place into this conversion cradle and just ask that this conversion cradle, as you just connect your energy into this conversion cradle, you activate this conversion cradle to handle and bring wholeness to all of the ancestral lines and the issue with addiction. So we just ask that all of the ancestral lines with addiction be brought into wholeness. See that cradle in front of you and send energy to it, please. And with that, it being in the cradle now, we ask, for we call up the resequencing portal. Let us move aside the cradle and let us call up the resequencing portal. We ask now to put ourselves into this resequencing cradle. Oh, Makos. And as we put ourselves into this resequencing cradle, we are asking that any and all addictions through every fiber of our body, through every fiber of our being, from the beginning of this life to the end, from the beginning of this soul to the end, that wholeness is made and that all of addictions are completely resequenced and brought back into wholeness. See that in front of you. See that resequencing portal and send energy to it now. I ask that you move that resequencing portal to the right side of you. For we ask now for reprogramming. We ask now for the reprogramming, and we ask for that reprogramming to take place. We ask for the cradle of reprogramming. We ask to place our bodies, our beings, oh my gosh, all of our ancestors united. We ask that all aspects, physically, all aspects on all levels of our being are reprogrammed, brought back into balance. goes. We ask that all of this is brought back into balance and reprogrammed through all fiber of being, all level. That this reprogramming is complete from the beginning of time to beyond time and space. See the reprogramming with you in that aspect. We just ask that the body, all levels, all beings see it and send a nice strong energy now. Oh. We ask you now to gently and easily walk and step out of space, no time, and find yourself back to the space of all of oneness, of the divine support. Oh my gosh. We just want to take the time to honor all of the ancients who have come here and are standing in our presence. We just thank absolutely all of the star brothers and star sisters. We thank for the united community that sits in front of us. We call and bring wholeness on all levels of our being. We ask that our human life in every single day, in every motion, and every action, that we are able to hold, that we hold that space of united, of strength, of clarity, of our full being. And we ask that as each one of us walk from this space, that every place we go, every word we say, every place that our energy goes, that all of that united being brings help and wholeness, brings completion where possible, and helps to absolutely fulfill all that is our spiritual path in its fullest capacity. And we just lift all of you up, for all of the united beings, for all of the divine, for absolutely all of your guides and your ancestors. They fill this space. They lift you all up and they touch you deeply. And they open your heart and allow them to absolutely walk and step fully forward with you from this point to all points beyond. We just lift this all up, and may they enter in and bring wholeness with you, and absolutely take an energy breath and send that forward now. A nice inhalation breath in and a nice breathe it down into the body. We welcome the Abelosi as well. And again, we just ask that all of your guides, for you to absolutely feel all of your guides, and we welcome all of your ancestors. They are parting the way ahead of you. We call for all of the guides that are absolutely creating the path ahead of you. We ask for your core team, for your A team to be as present, more present now than they have ever been before. We ask that in every moment, in every thought, that you are clearly aware of their conversation and yours. That in every action, your vision is able to see all that is going on in the upper layers. That each tool brought forward, that you are assisted by all of the ancestors, by all of the beings through time. We just ask that all that is of the highest divine be present and connected fully with you in every moment as you walk forward from here. And I ask them all to lovingly embrace you and let them bring the unconditional love. Please open your heart and let yourself feel. This is the kind of love that has no limitations. This is the purest. Really let every fiber of your being open up and receive it in. Come on, let every fiber of your being open up. Let it all be received in. And let all of the angels also come around, for your time is near. For all levels of your being to absolutely open and unfold to their full capacity. Welcome it in. Have open arms. For you walk with the step of 100,000. I ask you to just stay present and let that energy breathe in for a moment. I'd like you to just gently roll your shoulders. For your T-bars, you have many of your ancestors that are wishing to expand their communication with you. Gently rolling your shoulders allows that communication channel to greatly expand. There you go. Let it greatly expand across the shoulders. Let it greatly expand all the way up the neck as well. Amakos. And breathe in healing now. Let it come in through the crown and breathe in healing now. Let your crown open all the way up. And I ask you to just allow that healing, that support, that energy to reprogram and fulfill in. Just breathe in all. Oh my God. And breathe it all the way down. Let the wholeness of the body and being, let it flow through all layers. I just ask you to breathe that energy down now. As you start to become more present. This space. This state. Anytime you have those really big yawns, don't try to stop them. That is just simply a reaction that the body has when the ancestors come in. When you yawn because you're tired, your yawn doesn't get that big. When the ancestors are totally coming in, it feels like, well, to me, it feels like they're, detaching my jaw from popping out of line or something. All right, so that was a little bit more of an extended one that you would do for everybody else. But we're special, so it's okay. Yes.
When working with people with migraines,
Yes.
we learned that migraine extraction technique.
Yep.
So now, would we still do that first and then resequence, or do we not even need to go there?
So you don't do, for migraines, you do not have to go through and do all of the field rebuilding and the 7-layer pull out, all of that. Put them in conversion cradle first,
Okay,
then go in and do resequencing.
okay.
And where it would have taken probably 2 to 3 different sessions, depending on the extremity or to the extreme nature for which the field was damaged. None of that is necessary at this point in time. Just make sure that they're in conversion cradle first. That will also calm down any of their oversensitivity, because oftentimes folks with migraines, a migraine can set off while they're on the table, just because it's too much energy. That should stop.
In the middle of a process where I've already had one session where I cleared, pulled out 3 layers.
Perfect.
Do I go back and finish the 4 or just put them up in
No,
the
I would probably put them up in the conversion cradle. And again, as you work with this with your different clients and your family members, just pay attention as to whether, if they're in process already, should you continue with, stay the course with where you're at, or just go ahead, put them in the conversion cradle. Conversion cradle is, again, that kind of first step. Let's separate what's not theirs but needs to be processed versus what is there, so that both can get done. They just don't have to collapse on top of one another. And so if you're working with somebody in process, simply, as always, key in and ask, at what point, what should you do with that at that point? Many of you have different organs, glands, systems, and you've had them in the conversion cradles before. I think we said before lunch that, check to see if any of those need to just go into space, no time, and be kind of rebooted. Yes, Jill.
So with people who come in the office, would you do all the stages like conversion cradle, reprogramming the sequences all in one session like we just did?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
because all of them actually go hand in hand.
Okay.
Because think of it logistically. The conversion cradle, step number one is just let the person deal with their own stuff. But the ancestral stuff still is in need of being brought into balance. So the conversion cradle comes in and separates the two, so each one can get attended to as it needs. So step number one, conversion cradle. Step number two, reprogramming, or I beg your pardon, resequencing. Once you've done resequencing, reprogram. There you may find some things that you will go to reprogram and guidance is just going to tell you not necessary. If it's not necessary, then that means that the resequencing took care of whatever it is that was needed. So you'll have to work with this and see, paying attention to what's happening and what guidance is indicating to you, what information you're getting from their kind of soul alignment, and work with the system through there. Now, once we're in space no time, it didn't seem very difficult to go from one to the other, did it? No, not difficult. It's just like I have 3 shelves. Pull out drawer number 1, conversion cradle. All right, push you in there. Drawer number 2, resequencing. Okay, push you in there. Drawer number 3, reprogramming. Put you in there. Move you off, bring you forward.
You called, when we were doing it just now, reprogramming cradle of that. So,
To me, it looks a little bit like a cradle.
okay,
They've called it a gap. It doesn't look like a gap to me, so I don't want to look at a gap. Gap looks like to me, it looks like a big, a gap, a big hole right there. That's not what it is. So, it looks more like a cradle to me.
that's wonderful. Thank you.
So, for those that have not been in time no space before, could you feel the difference of when you were bringing your energy up versus stepping into time no space? Did it feel any different to you? Yes or no? No is okay. Yes is okay. No? Yes? Yes? No? Alice?
I think my problem is I kind of feel like I doze off.
Oh, got it.
Every time I meditate, no matter how much attention I put into it,
Right?
I was off.
Oh. So how many people have had that problem in the past? Raise your hand. So
I thought I was listening to you, but I was.
right. Yeah, you do listen, but then all of a sudden it just feels like you just like gone someplace. And then when the meditation ends, you're like brought back going, I hope I just did something. So for all of you who raised your hands, what kind of advice could you give Alice to help her so that doesn't happen for her anymore? Yes.
I often still have it happen, and I just let it be because I just trust that it's the way it's meant to be. Sometimes I experience visions during it, and when I come back, I don't even remember them. Sometimes I go so deep I have no recollection.
Okay, well, I don't know that that's totally the answer I'm looking for, but if that works for you, that's good. Terry.
It seems like the more you work in that band of energy or frequency, the more used to it you get and the more it doesn't pass you up.
Yes.
Ding, 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 ding. Terry wins the Cupido. Especially because now, I mean, we all meditate, and there are a million different ways to meditate. None of them are wrong. It all depends on what level of meditation your soul resonates at. And you're going to find that when you first hit that frequency, when you first start meditating into it, you're going to find it wants to put you out. Because your human body is not used to sustaining in that field. So whenever the human body is not used to sustaining at that frequency, here's the human response. Honestly. Again, how many people, by raise of hand, have had that problem in the past? Raise your hand. Not to say that occasionally you won't have that problem, but in truth, we would probably suggest that we kind of reframe perhaps what you're doing or how you're doing, so that you can be more of a conscious walker in it. Would that be helpful?
Yes.
Yes.
Nice. Okay. Be more of a conscious walker in it. Yes, Linda.
So, with the reprogramming, are we supposed to ask whether it's the reprogramming the DNA or reprogramming the biochemical?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Those are the only two choices, right?
There are more choices, but when in doubt, So I have a whole list of things, of choices that I am supposed to be, well, I thought I was supposed to be sharing with you. Their response was, keep it simple, just ask that it be that everything come into perfect balance and that wholeness is brought to it. So I've been overridden. There it is!
They overrode Kim?
I was over. What do I know? I don't run this show. Any moment I think I do run this show, guidance says, guess what? We're going to change the scene.
Keep you
All
on your
right.
toes.
Okay. Last but not least, I want to talk about ethereal physicians and core creators. Ethereal physicians and core creators. And again, those of you that are on that week, staying in the current, we'll be working more and more and more with this. I do want to give you the heads up on it because here's how you're going to know what you're supposed to work with. Everybody wants to know what is on my path. You should pay attention to the things that really resonate with you and let everything else go. Over the past 2 days, I've brought you much information. Hold on to what resonates with you and let go of the rest. It's my job to provide a smorgasbord because some of it will resonate with some of you, some of it will resonate with others. You know, and if you come across a tool and you're not resonating with it now, we'll put it in your etheric backpack because you may need it somewhere else down the line. But please know, as you leave out of here and you go home and you review your notes and things along those lines, if as you're reviewing things, if stuff that you're reviewing doesn't stand out to you, then you don't need it right now. So don't feel like you have to ingest all of it to get it. It is impossible for you not to be successful in doing what your soul's calling is at this point. So your job is to pay attention, get in the flow, and stay in the flow. We love you, Jan. Happy trip back. Happy trip back. Now, we've got about 8 minutes till 3, so I just want to give you that heads up. So please, and that's no matter what you're doing. Don't feel bad. In the past, your mind, your ego wanted to tell you you had to know it all. That's why you had to read all those books and you have to do all that stuff. You don't. That's going to clutter your head. Take what you need, leave the rest behind. If you need it, it will come back to you. You've got to trust that. Yes, Robert.
So the whole time you were saying that last part, all I kept thinking was next time Jacqueline says it's time to clean the house. I'm like, that doesn't resonate with me, baby.
Exactly. That's right, and and if you got problems with that, Jackie, you should just call the Kimster because she'll clear it up for you. I can so see Robert you pulling that off too. Wow. Because here's going to be Jackie's response. Wow, you know what? Laundry doesn't resonate with me, man. Cleaning the house doesn't resonate. Cooking? No, it doesn't resonate. And Robert, if you got a problem with that, you should call the Kimster. She'll clarify it for you.
Clean the house.
All right, ethereal physicians. Ethereal physicians. Yeah, not positions, but physicians. Ethereal positions. Take yoga and expand it a lot. Get into cosmic positions. Sorry.
Those might be easier to do.
Yes, it'll solve all your conditions. All right, sorry, we're getting slap happy. Back to focus. Ethereal physicians, physicians as in, it would be like doctors, ethereal physicians. There will be cases that you are going to be called not to resequence. You'll be called almost any type of healing work you do on these things is not going to be effective. I'll tell you, at this point in time, the times in which the ethereal physicians are called more frequently is in life and death choice point matters. Whether it's heart conditions make the choice point. Normally, the ethereal physicians are coming in not on something that's like an elongated illness. Normally, they're coming to the point where, you know, somebody is at their exit point, they're at their deathbed, or whatever is occurring with them is going to potentially terminate their life quite quickly. Here's the role of the ethereal physician. The person and the soul or spirit with that person who comes up to this type of choice point, this type of physical, whether, like there's a lot of heart ones that they're showing me at this moment, whether they're massive heart attacks, things like that. People are hanging on the balance. The reason an ethereal physician would be called in, and you need to at least know about ethereal physicians, because if and when you come across a case that is going to require one, they will automatically pop into you. You cannot ask for what you don't understand is even there. So I'm telling you that they're there so that when you need them, they come in. Here's the role that they play. The person who is on the brink of death, that choice point for that person and that soul has more effect than just that one person. So that particular choice point, whether they choose to live or they choose to die, has far more effect down their ancestral line. So some of the, bless you, some of the scenes that they're kind of showing me are, so there's an awful lot of ancestral stuff that you had every single lifetime that they were a healer, they were killed. And they were killed, 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 and they were killed. There's also Egyptian time, stuff like that. But so something significant happens to put that person's life, they're on the brink. If you were supposed to help somebody with an ethereal physician, it will absolutely come to the forefront of your mind. That means that ethereal physician will come in, and if that person, because the decision that one human being makes for their life in that moment makes the difference over whether that line gets whole and finally healed or not. The ethereal physician can come in and make sure that that occurs.
Bye all.
Love you guys. Bye. Yes.
Yeah, so Kim, what you're saying is etherically, if you have a client or you're called to a client in the hospital or dealing with the trauma or whatever, and you ask and say, is there something that I can assist with this?
Yep.
And if they say no, then do you wait to see if the ethereal energy is coming to you? Or do you call the ethereal physician to you to assist in that person's line coming back into wholeness?
And when you ask permission, are you talking to them personally, or are you talking to their guidance? Because I wasn't tracking you there.
To their guidance, to their soul.
Perfect. And their soul said no?
No, not for you. If they say,
Got
not
it.
for you at this time, I ask them, is there anything else I am supposed to do or anything else my guidance can assist with? Will it automatically pop in, or will I get the call the ethereal physician?
My sense is that you would get a call the ethereal physicians.
Okay.
Although I can say to you, if you want to make sure you don't miss it and you just want to pop that in, no problem, because they will tell you definitively yes or no.
Okay.
Yes or no. These are just critical times that have more to do with bringing ancestral lines and parallel lives. There's a great merging that happens at that point. That's what an ethereal physician is used for.
So how do they, like, regardless of the choice, then healing occurs down the line if the ethereal physician comes in?
The ethereal physician doesn't just help heal the physical body. They make space in the place of new for a full new line to occur.
Regardless of the outcome.
Correct, regardless of the outcome for the person. They create in the space of new, a space for a whole new line that creates. And not everybody comes to that event. I'm not exactly sure who or how or why. I don't know that part yet. I just know that's just what ends up happening. Yes.
In the past 2 years, I've been called to people's bedsides in the hospitals just as they're dying or just before they're dying.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what I've done is transition of the soul.
Okay.
But it hasn't just been that person's soul that's been present in the room.
Uh-huh.
So is this a case that possibly that's been what's been going on?
So the instant response that they give me is in some of the cases that was what was going on.
All right, because there was a lot going on and I couldn't figure out what that.
Yeah, so they give you confirmation that indeed in some of the cases that has been accurate and that has been what's going on.
All right, okay, thank you.
Very good. Now let's talk about core creators. We'll be talking and working with core creators quite a bit moving forward from here. I tell this to you at the end only because we'll be working a lot with them, so it's not something I just need to mention once. I just want you to get familiar with it and take it into your meditations and just get comfortable with them. Core creators are going to be your partners. Your partners in the recreating, in anything that you're doing that helps to rebuild. There's many of you who are going to be doing different types of bridge work throughout the dimensions. There are many of you that are going to be helping what things that are occurring on the physical land right now, and you're going to help bring an incorporation. And so core creators are really, they are there to work with you. They very much are there to help be the archetype or to help you with the building or how the format of things come. For each one of you, you're going to have core creators who step up. And as they step up and enter into your life, your core creators ignite in you an awful lot of automatic remembering. Your core creators bring back a lot of your memories of things that you have done in the past. So they're a crucial part of what will hold or help you to remember. They are not just a touchstone, but their presence in working with you brings back just an awful lot of that automatic knowing and information, and all of a sudden you start having, oh, okay, that's right. Oh yeah, now I remember. Here's what we're gonna do, and here's how we do it, and so on and so forth.
You're talking about remembrances
from really your divine holy path. The times where you helped create dimensions, and the times, really your holiest, all of that, really your purest, holiest path. Your core creators come back to work with you. And again, there's lots of things I'm looking forward to, but this is one, because it will be so fun. The minute they click back in with you and all of a sudden you start having all these rememberings, you're going to be like, oh, nice. All right, where have you been? Okay, this is fun. Couldn't you not have showed up back in a while ago? Anyway, so I mention them to you now only because you can get that in your consciousness if you want to start talking or playing with them. But your core creators will come in pretty soon. Yes, Kristen?
No, I'm not asking a question. I just forget it.
Never mind.
So you can co-create a new self, huh?
It's not even co-create. Yeah, you will definitely co-create all kinds of things. But more than anything, your co-creators are there to, or core creators are there to really help. They just bring back an awful lot of your remembering, and they really partner and work with you in just a lot of regards. So, okay, it is time that we bring this time together to a completion.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
So I will say to you that while this has been a lot of information and a lot of things to take in, I absolutely encourage you in your dream state to just ask for rememberings and integration of all the different things that you have done and have learned. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your time immensely. And I value you so incredibly much.
The thank you was for the weekend, Ken, not for the fact that you're covering it to an end.
Oh! So it wasn't a thank you, thank God. Finally, we're done. Well, thank you, and again, we will be talking more. If there are any of you that want to join the Staying in the Current that have not joined before, you are welcome to do that. We can catch you up on the recordings, things like that. It is a weekly conversation that just keeps us in the loop of what's happening, refining our skills. Safe travels to all of you. Have a great rest of your month.
I want to say thank you to everybody, too. You have opened my heart again, like you always do. And I love, love, love all of you to bits. And your laughter so raises me up to another dimension. Thank you so much.
We love to do that.
So anyway, much love to you all. Thank you again so much for your time. And please, please, never forget that in every moment that you are asked to walk out there and connect in with people, connect in and present the higher energy and that higher self to them, and know that the impact of every single place you go, every step you take, your ancestors and your healers are far out ahead of you, helping to have amazing influence, healing, and upliftment everywhere you go. And so take that with you. Much love. We are complete. Oh, make sure you take your ancestor stuff.